Dude, I wish we did the new albums topic like later,
Mm-hmm.
because I recently just started listening to more MF Doom, and there's a song.
Is that a rapper?
Yeah, he's like I believe like 80s, 90s, or 90s, early 2000s and stuff like that. And there's this album called Food. It's really, really good. I think I showed you.
Isn't MF Doom the guy who did the different variations? You showed me his different albums.
Yes.
He did a theme of what were the themes?
He just pulled he samples episodes of like the Fantastic Four cartoon.
That's right. That's right.
But in that album, he's just like it's all food.
And then there's the Doctor Doom.
Yeah, his main persona is Doctor Doom.
Oh, okay.
But he's called himself MF Doom.
MF Doom. Okay.
And he has like that cool silver mask and stuff. That album's great, and I love all of it. And I think I showed both of you what the vinyl looks like with the green and
You
pink.
did, yeah.
Like side A is pink, side B is green or whatever. So yeah, I kind of wish we did that topic later because I want to talk about that album.
Yeah.
It's all food themed, and like a lot of the songs like will just have a sample of someone from like a food channel, like talking about a recipe or something.
Oh, wow.
But he has like a really cool beat behind it, and it sounds like interesting.
That's cool. Speaking of food, St. Louis.
Oh, here, Matty's here.
Oh, he's making an entrance.
Dang it, dang it.
The mics can't pick up that noise though.
I can hear it.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
In your headphones?
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm back. I just had to take a fat piss.
You're sweating balls right now.
I washed my. I put water
I
on my
thought it
head.
was sweat.
Yeah, no, I put water on my head.
Dude, this is really exciting because now we're in the first.
Oh, are you gonna just?
No, I mean I'm
let it
just
slip?
thinking about it now.
Oh.
I mean, we can formally introduce it or whatever, but I'm just excited that we're in the new space.
Yeah, we mentioned last week
We
that
did
we're in the
mention that
new
last week.
space.
Yeah.
Hopefully, now this might be.
We need some silent
Do you have
fans
enough-
for
do you
the
have
new
enough-
space.
Do you have enough leg room? Because I feel I'm spreading in a way
yeah,
where
I'm comfortable right now.
because I can't really do.
You know what it is for me? It's gonna be figuring out the computer and the mic how I want to have that set up, so I'm not taking up like all the space in the room. But I'm good for now. I was gonna say though, I might regret this,
Oh,
but I'm just gonna say it.
you're way too loud for me.
Am I
Yeah.
loud?
Yeah.
I can adjust that in a
It's a
second.
little blown up.
Where did I put? Oh, I left it all the way over there. Okay, I'll grab it after. Next week, big things are happening with the
Okay.
show. Now, I might be, saying something that's not going to happen because something will go wrong and we'll need more time. But I'm gonna be bold and I'm just gonna say it. Big things next week. Big things.
Like what?
That's for you to tune in and find out.
Well, tell me off camera.
What's happening right now?
There's a thing we've had in the works for a little bit now that will hopefully be taking shape.
Oh, I see.
Do you want me to build on that? I don't understand.
No, it's just
Oh, so we
big things
it's
are in
something
store.
that we already know about.
Yeah, you
but
guys-
it's just saying.
You guys already know about it. It's just big things are happening.
See, and
Thing
there's
dings.
gonna be a time, and it's gonna come very quickly where we can't just reference stuff with our hands.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh.
which I prefer.
Mhm.
I prefer because I don't like explaining
Yeah.
like kind of like body language stuff and being
Yeah.
like, oh, I just did this.
You just want
or
to do
whatever.
it.
Yeah,
Oh.
they can see it.
Anyways. Yeah. Well, Mark was just talking about food, and I just wanted to
Yes.
vent a little bit about St. Louis and them taking 40.
Wow.
An
Yeah,
hour
yeah.
calling them out by name.
You know-
Sorry, St. Louis, but you guys took an hour today to get my wings. Delicious, by the way, delicious
Yeah.
wings. But you guys took an hour to get it out on my
Well,
table, and
Not better than
so-
Ivy, probably, right?
It's pretty close.
It's
No.
close.
Last
I
time
don't
we were there,
think
it was
so.
not even close.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Bro,
it
the
wasn't, but also,
lemon pepper slaps.
Oh, you didn't get lemon pepper last
and the
time.
medium slaps.
But last time we went, and I remember this because Malcolm was like had just eaten an edible. I remember
Yeah.
that moment. But we had all eaten it and been like, eh. And even I remember asking you, and you were like, it's decent, but like it's
that
not
day-
even
that
close
day
to
was
Ivy
decent.
wings.
That day was
Maybe it's
decent.
because it was their barbecue and their lemon pepper is different.
Maybe.
I was also gonna say I had a very frustrating food experience today, 2 actually. So I got like first aid, what's it called, CPR training and like first aid training and stuff.
Standard first aid.
Yeah. And there's like a 30-minute break, lunch break, and I went across the street to a fish and chips place, which I've never been to.
Wait, where was the training?
It was like in a place called the Dance Shop, which is on
Oh,
on
I
Main
know.
Street.
I know where that is.
Yeah, and I was like, why am I here? And I'm like, when I opened the address, I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. There's a bunch of like ladies like doing their dance routines and stuff. And then I saw like the little room where they were setting up the dummies, and I was like, oh, okay, they are doing it here. But then I had a half-hour lunch break. I went across the street to go get fish and chips because I love fish and chips. And then I get the food, and I'm like, can I just eat here? There's like there's a couple tables in the restaurant. And he's like, no, it's takeout only.
Huh? There are tables in the restaurant.
Yeah, there was a couple tables, but they were kind of pressed against.
Where was this?
Main Street.
But what?
The
food
Golden
place?
Fish and Chips?
No, it's not called Golden, and it's not Heritage. It's just called Fish and Chips.
Oh, okay.
It was like a very weird looking.
Wow.
it
We're
didn't-
going to have to bleep out
Yeah.
the city, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Anyway, it was pretty good, and it felt comparable to. It just felt exactly like Heritage Fish and Chips, or not maybe. It felt exactly like Golden Fish and Chips. But I had to eat it in my car, and so my hands were all greasy and shit, and it was hot as hell out, and horrible experience.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
And
fun.
the second bad experience I had was I ordered KFC when I got home. I ate
Oh,
like
big
shit
mistake.
today. I ate like shit today. I feel like it was because the 8 hours of the CPR stuff was like so boring, and I wanted to like reward myself for getting through it. So I ordered the food, and then like every 10 minutes or 20 minutes, it kept pushing back my estimated time. I ordered it at like maybe like 6:45, and I didn't get it until close to 7:30.
Tariq was taking his time.
Yeah, so it also almost took like an hour. It was like 50 minutes or something, so that was frustrating.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna fart.
Nice.
That's Mark's fart.
That's
We
a
got a show to
vibration.
do.
We've got a show to do. All right, let's get into it.
Welcome back to episode 15, holy shit, of Wildly Adequate, the show about anything, everything, and usually nothing. If you like the show, please like, share, subscribe, check out the socials. I am once again 1/4 of your hosting crew, Mr. Matthew Urso, and I am joined by, as always,
Hey, it's Patrick Lemma. If you're listening to this, perf.
all right,
Ugh.
glad we got that out of the
That was
way.
weird.
That made me sick to my stomach, and it's not KFC. It's not the KFC I had earlier. Mark, my name is Mark. What's up?
And finally,
He's
after a bit of a hiatus,
the prodigal son has
the
returned.
prodigal son has returned. Our fourth chair,
Yep, Malcolm. Yep.
He's back.
Malcolm,
back.
has entered the ring.
Not the right energy, but
For
he's
better or
back.
for worse.
He should crank up the energy a little bit. Let's try that again. And Malcolm is back.
Yep.
There we
There we
go.
go. Really quickly, I don't know if you guys got into this in the open because I was pissing, but I just want to know, how's everybody doing? Real quick, you have 5 seconds to answer that question.
I feel emotionally good, but physically I don't feel very good.
My
Mhm.
lower back really hurts. Okay, let's get
Mhm.
into it.
Emotionally bad, physically great.
Oh, wow.
It's the opposite. And I'm doing just okay.
That's not what you
Um,
want. I think you'd rather have physically bad, right?
I'd rather have physically bad than mentally bad.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
guess we'll see what happens. Anyways, to welcome his return, Malcolm, you're starting us off today.
I thought you were going to have a gift for him.
Oh. And I pull
To
out-
welcome him back,
and
we're
I-
making him go
we
first.
have, we
And
have
then I pull
palm
out
we
a
have palm
loaded gun.
leaves. for-
So, my topic is kind of it's a little competition comparison
Oh,
kind of thing.
I like that.
Mm.
So, everyone's got a list of 3 songs that I classified as like greatest of all time classic songs.
Mhm.
So we're gonna need to talk about something before
Yeah.
we get into
I
this.
called
Yeah.
Patrick
What?
before I got
Yeah.
here, and I was like,
Yeah.
what is a classic song?
I kind of put it as before the 2000s.
But what? That's such a weird
Like-
definition.
Well, because I mean, you can say why. Yeah, you say why you think that.
I'm just saying that because like I don't know, like that's just what my head goes to.
I mean, for me, the way I think about it, it's like before we were born,
Yeah.
and so they feel like. I mean, I don't know if you can call a 2000s song a classic. Maybe you could. Maybe
You could.
you could call
I
a song.
guess
Because I was thinking of calling a song like "Paradise" by Coldplay. Like that's a classic. But I don't know if it's old enough
That
to be
doesn't feel
considered.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
but only because
it's
it's
a
Coldplay.
It's a banger.
You're a
Like
bitch. Shut
when
the
like
fuck
when
up.
you hear the word like when you hear someone
that's
say
not to say I don't like Coldplay.
No, but the way that sounded was like, oh, like there's nothing wrong with the date of it, but the fact that it's Coldplay, it can't be.
the thing is, it's like Coldplay is fine, but
Yeah.
like they can't make classics, can they?
I don't-
What?
What do you mean
What?
clocks?
Like most of their hits are
They're
like
classics,
classic
you think?
songs.
I would say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Specifically,
But
wait,
clocks.
but-
Oh, there goes Patrick's mic.
we're gonna cut all
Well,
that out.
Sorry.
What I was gonna say is when I hear someone say like the classics,
Yeah,
I don't think Coldplay. I don't think all that kind of stuff.
I think 60s to 90s.
I go
60s
like
to 90s.
I go straight from like 60s area to like 90s area.
Sure, I'd say so.
So 50s isn't a classic? Can't be a classic?
60s,
Could be.
50s can be classics.
40s?
Elvis is in there.
Sure.
40s, name a 40s song.
1800s. Name your
We're
favorite
talking-
30s song.
To me, it's like we're talking old music.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like, we're
oldies.
not talking like-
Oldies.
that's classic.
I just
Like,
went-
we're not talking.
We're in 2023.
Yeah.
Old music from 2000 is old.
It's
Yeah,
definitely
but-
getting there, but again, I think setting it before 2000 is a perfectly
fine.
reasonable.
I'd say so. No,
I have my list.
now who,
Okay, so
who
what
wants
I-
to start?
What
here?
I would like to do is I would like everyone to read off their list, but we're gonna go their number 1 song, number 2, and then number like.
Should we go 3
one,
first?
Oh, I didn't
Patrick-
know.
Okay, yeah, we can go 3. We'll
We're
go
s-
like 3 all around, 2 all arounds, then 1 all around.
Dude, are we supposed to? We were supposed to rank. Or I put 3 songs.
It doesn't
but
have to be ranked. It
Oh,
just has
okay.
to be 3 songs.
Okay.
At
Mine
the
are
end
ranked.
at the end of it, I want us all to compare our songs. I want us to see whose list is overall kind of the best,
Mm.
and then I want to see which one song is the best out of all of them.
Okay.
Or
Now-
would you want to make a singular list of 3 between all 3 of us?
We could do
Oh,
that. We could do
yeah.
that
Like we
too.
can pull if we like one song from yours, one song from mine. Like we
Yeah.
can pull
And
some.
then
I'm
Leave one
thinking
person
we're
out.
gonna have to do it to a vote
Yeah.
I think
Sure.
so too,
because
yeah.
the problem is like so we're gonna have what 12
That's what I was
What do you-
hoping
what do
we
you
were
mean?
gonna do.
What do you mean voting on each song or voting on whose list is the best?
I think
Well-
it'll be easiest to vote. Also, we should probably cut all
Yeah,
this.
we're gonna cut all this
cut
out.
all
This
this
is
out,
not.
but-
This is not fun to listen.
But we should probably vote on who should be kicked off. So I think that'd
Okay,
be
wait, wait,
easier to
but I'm
vote
saying if
on.
we're trying to come up with
What?
3 songs
The whole list?
from if we're coming up with 3 songs from our total 12,
Yeah.
then we're basically gonna have to go through and like
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
start like ranking or eliminating or like rating them kind of thing to like get the final 3 from
Yeah.
the 12.
Okay, let's just stick
I
with
don't-
what Malcolm's saying. Let's start off by naming our songs.
Yeah, but
Okay.
then, I agree with Matty where like, let's say like all of us. There was one song that you listed that like all of us are like that has to be on the quintessential classics
Yeah.
list,
Mhm.
and then we
Mhm.
make a top 3.
Sure.
Or it doesn't have to be ranked, but like a 3 song.
You agree with
Would
me,
anyone
Ian,
like
'cause I
to
said
start
that.
with their number 3?
You didn't say that.
Mm.
You
Their
said,
number
you said,
3
you
seed?
said we're gonna eliminate somebody. I didn't know what that meant.
I'm ready to go, Malcolm. So
Yeah, me
take
too.
it away.
All right, we're,
Who wants to start with their number 3 seed?
I'll
back
go
in.
for it. So I didn't necessarily rank mine.
Me
So
neither.
I'll just kind of like list them in the order I think makes the most sense. I'll save the spiciest. Well, not the spicy, but I'll save the one for last. My first song is going to be 2 of my songs are from my 2 favorite bands of all time,
Yep.
and then I kind of picked arguably my 2 favorite
you're
songs.
teasing
even
me
though
right
it could
now.
change.
Dude,
So I'm going for my first draft pick. I am going with Tom Sawyer by Rush.
Really? That's not going to be on the
wait,
quintessential.
wait. That's your number 1.
No, they're
No, it
not
says-
ranked. It's just like my 3
What,
songs.
I thought you said for
Really good
for,
song, but
Yeah.
I went with my 2 favorite
Well,
bands.
Can I just say something? I've never heard that song.
you've never heard Tom
you
Sawyer?
definitely
Yeah,
have. You definitely
There
have.
you go.
Maybe if I heard it, but I don't recognize it by the name. Maybe.
Okay, go. What's yours?
So do I have to? I didn't make a. I
It
didn't
doesn't
make
have
an
to be
order.
ranked. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be ranked.
So the first one that I'm going to name here is one that's already been named, and that's My Sweet Lord. My Sweet Lord. Every time I
No
hear
one
it,
named that.
What are you talking about?
Malcolm already. Oh, I mean, I guess it was before the show started. Malcolm mentioned My Sweet Lord from the Guardians of the Galaxy thing. Anyway,
What?
we'll cut
What's
that out.
happening?
No, you were saying before we started recording, and we can cut this out. You were talking
wanna
about like the
leave it
Guardians
in.
of the Galaxy topic,
Oh yeah.
and then Patrick was talking about when I hear My
Oh,
Sweet
oh.
Lord, and when I hear one of you guys said,
Oh,
My
but that's
Sweet
not
Lord.
my list.
No, I know.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm saying.
Let's just move past
Okay,
it.
we're
Yeah.
gonna cut all that out.
The audience didn't hear
I'm
any
gonna
of
get
that.
back into it,
so-
okay.
Patrick.
I'm
No.
gonna
Wait, I'm gonna re-say what I'm
Okay,
gonna say.
okay.
Okay. So the first one I'm gonna say is okay. I gotta reset it. I'm gonna put My Sweet Lord as the first one. It's not in any order particularly,
Okay.
but like it's just like the first one I thought of.
Gotcha.
That song, every time it comes on, I never skip it,
Mhm.
and it's just like it's such
Feel
a
good song.
yeah, it's such a feel good song, and it's like the instrumentation's beautiful. I just love it.
Mhm. Am I going next?
Yeah, go for it.
Stairway to Heaven.
Oh wow, strong.
Thank you.
All
Can,
right.
can I just can we start critiquing already?
No, that's not critique.
Okay,
yet.
okay.
My first seed or third seed doesn't really matter.
Sure.
Is Baba O'Reilly.
Oh yeah,
I have no idea how that goes.
The Guess Who?
Yeah.
The Who
It's-
song.
Out here in the field.
Oh, now I know how you feel. I don't know.
You don't know that.
You've
Out
heard the
here in the
song.
field.
I probably heard it. Okay.
You've heard the song, you bitch.
That's not going to be in the quintessential.
All right, Matty. You don't know that.
All right, Matt,
For my second seed, I am going with. So I went with Rush, my favorite band, for their song. Now I have to move over to Pink Floyd for my second seed.
Money?
Doing it.
And I am going with my personal favorite of all their songs, even though it's a weird
Breathe?
one. Great Gig in the Sky
Great gig in
Love
the
it.
sky.
Yeah.
Love
as
it.
my
a goodie.
number 2 seed.
All right, Mark.
Okay, the next one I'm gonna say here is one that I love dearly, and one that, again, every time it comes on, I don't skip it, and that's "God Only Knows" by the Beach Boys.
That
I love that
That
song.
can't be in our.
Why not, bro? It's a great song, and it's again like similar to "My Sweet Lord." I feel like it's like a feel good song, and it's a beautiful song. And I like it.
For anyone who's listening, feel free to pause it at any point and play the songs we're mentioning.
Sure.
Just to, if you don't know the song, you guys can play it in.
If you don't
Be on
know
the
the
same
songs
page.
we're mentioning, fuck you. Listen to some music.
Mhm.
Oh wow. Okay.
All right, Malcolm.
My second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Patrick.
You skipped me. My second seed is "I've Got a Woman" by Ray Charles.
Oh, banger. Love it.
Now my second seed. Patrick's first song was my second seed, so I changed it,
Oh,
and I'm going to say "Tiny Dancer" by Elton John.
Oh, dude.
interesting.
That might have
I
to be
feel
on
like
the-
you should have kept the Stairway to Heaven just so because it's like that gives more reason for it to be on the
I
quintessential.
just wanted there to be more to choose
Wait,
from.
Okay.
Maddie looks confused. What's going on, Maddie?
I figured it out because I'm writing these down.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So now back to me.
Green.
No, who- Matt, back to Maddie.
It's Maddie.
What was yours, Mark? God only knows.
God Only Knows and My Sweet Lord.
Patrick's second.
I've Got a Woman
One was
by Ray Charles,
God,
The Blind Man.
Woman, and then Malcolm's second was
Tiny Dancer.
Tiny Dancer.
Hold me closer, tiny dancer.
Yeah, that's real nice.
Hit
For
those
my
notes.
last one, I toyed with the idea of picking another rock and roll song, but my thing was I don't know how you guys did your lists, but I did it just completely subjectively, like just what my favorite 3 like classic songs would be. I put no objectivity into it
Me neither.
whatsoever. But for my third seed, I decided to go outside of rock and roll and pick an all-time song for me. There is no song on this earth that makes me feel more macho or manly. And that's My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Wow. That's
a
excellent.
That
good
was a
one.
good one.
That's gonna be. So this is gonna be a hard choice to narrow this down to 3.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Okay. My last one is quite possibly my favorite one, and definitely the one that has the best vibe in my opinion, which is "Let's Stay Together" by Al Green.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good one too.
I love that song when it starts. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. I just love the way it starts too. It's like
Yeah.
boom, bam, bam.
Yeah,
it's so good.
My first seed is "Beyond the Sea" by Bobby Darin.
Oh,
my God.
dude! I was thinking about that one too. You know what? I was also thinking about, and this is just like side.
Mhm.
I was thinking about putting a Bobby Vinton song on there, like Blue
Oh.
Velvet or something.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And
Also,
I,
with what Matty said,
yeah,
with regards to objectivity, I didn't try to put objectivity, but I have 3 different genres.
I tried to have 3 different feelings.
Yeah.
Like kind of not like 3 similar vibes.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. All right, Malcolm, the very
I guess
last
I
one,
kinda
number
stuck
12.
in the rock and roll area, and this is just a song. Although it's a bit overplayed, I
Yeah.
love it every time it comes on. It's a great sing along. Hotel California.
Yeah,
That's a really
Classic.
good song too. Yeah.
So, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, what I was gonna
12 songs.
what I was gonna say when you listed what was your first one?
Beyond the Sea.
No, your first pick.
Stairway to Heaven.
My problem with a song like Stairway to Heaven is that even though it's a masterpiece and it's incredible, I can't really listen to it much anymore. It's similar to
It's a good thing that's not what the list is.
Yeah, no, I know. But to me, it's like, because even Matty was talking about like being subjective, and to me, I picked songs that I just never get bored of,
Yeah.
and I feel like certain songs got so big that they're just
I think that's valid.
yeah.
You're 100% entitled to that.
Yeah.
These two will not follow you down that path.
I'm not saying I wouldn't pick it.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
saying I just feel like my
Okay.
only problem with it is it is overplayed.
Okay.
And
You're-
it's like-
you're dumb for that. But
You know, like Bohemian Rhapsody.
that's
like,
okay.
See, that's an example of one that every time it's an amazing song, but I just never listen to it anymore. I just don't want to. But anyway.
I hear that. Okay, so are we gonna try and pick like 3, 2, 1, or just like 3 songs? No, we shouldn't try and order them. Like we can't do.
I say we just pick 3.
Just pick 3,
Let's
but
pick
no
three-
particular
three to
order
stay
though,
around.
because that's gonna be way too hard.
Mm-hmm.
You think so?
Should we go through the lists? Like kind of like how we did the boat thing?
Oh.
Our lists are Tom Sawyer, Great Gig in the Sky, My Way. For me, Mark's list is My Sweet Lord, God Only Knows, Let's Stay Together. Patrick's is Stairway to Heaven, I've Got a Woman, and Beyond the Sea. And Malcolm's is Baba O'Reilly, Tiny Dancer, and Hotel California. I feel like we need to select one song from each list to keep, because that puts us at 4.
Oh,
And then it's
wow,
just
I see.
elimination.
What if there's 2 ubiquitous songs on
No,
one?
no,
Or,
no,
it's
I
just,
guess
or
that's-
maybe there's just a really bad list we can get rid of.
I guess
Yeah.
No. I think the best way to do it is to pick one from each, because I feel like there's one on each that we all really like. And
But
I don't know.
But we
what
want
if you
the- we want the
completely
best-
disagree with it?
Yeah, I guess one by list. is
Okay, I
kind of-
think. Okay, let me
Well,
start
for
us off
starters,
here.
it's what's in the running.
Like
Okay,
for
let me-
example, if
hold on.
Patrick chose "I've Got a Woman," I'm gonna disagree with him
Oh, okay.
because although I love the song and it's incredible, I just think the majority of people, I think there's a lot of people out there that don't know who Ray Charles is.
It's not about who knows Ray Charles. We're talking
think-
about the best classic songs, and and that one is one of the ones. Like I'm not saying that others didn't inform, but like that informed the culture today. Some of it, like with Kanye.
What?
So
That's the argument you're making?
Wait.
That's
that's
one
one
Kanye
slice.
song
That's
sampled
one
it?
slice of the pie.
Wait, what song are you talking about?
I Got a Woman.
Oh,
I think that's a dumbass argument, but
Well-
whatever.
Well,
What was the song?
I think we can all agree on Tiny Dancer being out.
Okay, here's the thing.
Wait a minute. I was actually gonna throw that in the running to be in.
Here's what I'm gonna toss out.
3.
Hear me
I
out,
was
fellas.
thinking about it.
I've got the computer in front of me. I'm gonna start tossing them out there. Tom Sawyer and Great Gig. I know none of you give a shit about, so I think
love
those.
Great Gig. I
Oh,
love it.
Okay, well then.
I like Great Gig too,
That's
but I
out.
wouldn't put it in top 3.
That's out.
On
Classic.
my list, I think
Sure.
My Way for sure.
I think My Way
that
stays
can be
around.
that can be
I
in the
think it stays
running.
around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Mark's
honestly, maybe-
list.
Do we have to do it like one from each list, or
No,
should
no,
we just
no.
choose the best? From
I'm
each
not
list?
doing
should
one
choose
from
the
each list.
best.
I'm just purely like I was
Okay.
starting with my list, and
Okay.
I think Tom Sawyer and Great Gig are probably with you guys out of the running. So, but I think My
Okay.
Way for sure is in the running. Mark's list. Give me a second to come back to Patrick's. I think. Hear me out. Stairway to Heaven. I think is in the running,
I think it's in the running.
and I think Beyond the Sea
I
is
think
in the
that's fair.
running.
I also agree.
Malcolm's. I think Hotel is for sure in the running, and between Baba and Tiny
Neither
Dancer.
of those are in the running.
I don't know. I
I'm
like
sorry-
both
I'm
of those
sorry.
a lot.
I wouldn't. I would say Baba's more out, but I would say Tiny Dancer's more in.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would maybe
Fine.
go Tiny Dancer, and then on Mark's list, I would.
I mean, you guys aren't
pick-
picking any of them. We can just say that.
Wait, what are yours again? What are yours again?
My Sweet Lord, God Only Knows, and Let's Stay Together.
Let's say together.
For Mark's, I would toss in My Sweet. Oops,
I would also
the
do
fuck.
that. I would.
I would toss in
Lord.
My Sweet Lord for sure.
Sure.
Let's Stay Together. I wouldn't do, and God Only Knows to me is a coin toss.
I would do.
I would
I
have
would.
to say
I would
no
not
on
do.
that.
You know, and I would say Let's Stay Together would be in the next round.
Really?
I think so. And
Over
but
some
we'll do
of
it
these
as a
other
vote.
ones?
I mean, okay. If we're looking at these other ones, I think I Got a Woman would be in the next round. But of course,
But what are we even assessing here? Like, what's the ultimate assessment? Like our favorites, or what we think is like the most impactful? Like, what are we talking about here? Because that changes the list. That changes the list for me. Because I don't think any of my 3 would be on the most impactful or like biggest or most like.
Well, that's why to me it's like, again, I picked my list completely subjectively, but
Yeah.
trying to come up with like a holistic top 3 from our 12, I'm looking at it from a more like bird's eye view. Like, if fucking aliens visited tomorrow and they're like, "Yo, what are your 3 songs that
Yeah.
like, you're gonna present to us, like to encapsulate fucking everything?"
Okay,
It's
let's
like
go with that
these-
mindset.
Like, I'm going more objective with this than I did with my list.
Okay.
Let's do that.
So now that brings us to
so
My
we're
Way.
keeping I Got a Woman out, right?
I think so.
Can I
Sure.
get? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that brings us to My Way, My Sweet Lord, Stairway to Heaven, Beyond the Sea, Tiny Dancer, and Hotel California. So we're down to 6. So we've cut it in half.
Are
Okay.
are you guys gonna not? So how many songs is that? 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need.
But we need to
3.
cut it in half
So
again.
Tiny Dancer is out. I think.
What?
I'm not comfortable throwing it out first.
Okay.
I mean, to me, looking at the list again, my argument about being overplayed makes me not want to put Stairway in the final 3. But then if
Okay.
we're talking impact, it has to be in the final 3. So that's why I'm kind of trying
Like
to
if
figure
we're
out
gonna
what
show
we're doing.
aliens, I would say Stairway has to be in the final 3.
Well, so
Oh.
that's what I was going to argue too is like we've got a fairly, I guess it's kind of a split, but we've got like a rock and roll heavy thing. And I know there's like other music that's just like older than that, not
Do
necessarily
we want to have a
rock and
better
roll.
spread
Maybe
or
we
something?
want to spread it out a bit. Maybe keep a rock song, non-rock.
Well, that's why I
song.
was saying to me, if I was going to cut this final 6 in half, I would keep Stairway and Hotel California because of the 3 rock songs. I think Stairway and Hotel are like more on that list than Tiny Dancer. And then it gets
I
down to
agree.
like My Sweet Lord, which is like sort of rock adjacent. And then Beyond the Sea and My Way, which are the like, older classic shit. And between My Sweet Lord, Beyond the Sea and My Way, I think My Way's the best of those 3 songs and arguably should stay, but I might maybe put Beyond the Sea over it.
Wait,
in
what did
terms
you
of,
just
like-
take out? Did we take anything out?
My
I'd
Sweet
say
Lord.
Me
I'm
right
pretty sure
now-
I've got a woman's out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
been
Got a
out.
Woman's been out.
Is it
Right
out?
now,
I thought
of
we
the
put it
s-
back in.
No.
of the 6 that are left, I would toss out the final 3 being Hotel, Stairway, and like a coin toss between Beyond the Sea and My Way.
I
Maybe
would-
more Beyond the Sea.
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, my gut right now tells me Beyond the Sea.
That's the thing is, I think My Way's an infinitely better song.
I like Beyond the Sea better than My Way as a song. I
do
just
too.
like it better.
I think My Way's better, but I think if you played Beyond the Sea for people, like more people would know that
Oh,
than My Way.
really? I would think the opposite,
I would
but
think the opposite
I think that
too.
more people knew My Way and like the lyrics and stuff, but that I personally like feel more. I
think,
don't know.
well, I
Excited
also
about.
think Beyond the Sea has the edge of like the pop cultureness of it.
Sure.
Like it's in like Beyond the Sea is a song that's used in things, whereas like My Way's not like always
Didn't
put in
sing.
shit. Honestly, I think of the Sinatra songs, like there are New York and like
Sure.
some of these other songs of his, I think would like be more recognizable.
I vote to put if we're gonna pick either Beyond the Sea or My Way, I definitely would be more confident in saying Beyond the Sea should be in the final 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that is one that I thought of when I was making my list, and I was like, I kind of figured you might put it.
Yeah, I had to. That was the first thing I put down when I was thinking.
I'm surprised you didn't put Layla.
Layla, I
Oh,
thought
yeah,
about.
good
I
one.
really did think
So
about it.
I've eliminated
but-
My Way. Oh, and then I also think My Sweet Lord.
Yeah.
Again, of like those specific
Yeah.
3, I would go without.
Okay, so then
So
yeah,
it brings
Tiny
us to
Dancer's out.
Stairway, Beyond the Sea, and Hotel California, and yeah, Tiny
Did we all
Dancer.
agree that My Sweet Lord is out?
Well, I mean, I think it's just process of elimination. That
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
cool with it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
So, and then are we axing Tiny Dancer?
of course.
Yeah.
All right. So our final list then, if we were presenting it to the aliens or whoever, or if we were going to, leave it behind for a million years in the time capsule, our top 3 classic songs is Stairway to Heaven, Hotel California, and Beyond the Sea.
Now everyone.
Cue album covers.
Now everyone. Yeah, put the album covers. Now everyone who doesn't know those songs, go on
Listen to it.
Spotify. Pause our thing right now. We're not going anywhere. Do yourself a favor. Listen to them.
Don't listen to Patrick.
And what are you doing?
Finish watching the show and then go to Spotify.
And then also, honestly, listen to all 12.
Listen to all 12. Yeah, we
Yeah,
tossed
if
out
you
12
have the
fucking
time.
Good
bangers.
listens.
If you call yourself a music fan and you haven't heard any of those 12 songs, you idiot.
And also, these songs could change on any given day. For the record,
Yeah,
like,
well,
this
that's
is
the
like,
thing. It's all
there's just
very-
way too many. I tried my best to narrow down to 3. On any given day, I could have
It was
chosen
hard
like
to
a
do.
different 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know I was saying like at the end there, trying to do it from a more like bird's eye view, objective perspective, but even that's not entirely true.
No.
Also, to me, it's like picking a final 3 feels almost kind of like
icky.
not icky, but yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like I picked and similar to Matty, like I picked the 3 that I just personally love the most, and maybe I wouldn't make them the 3 classics of all time or whatever, but they're my 3 favorites of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So to like eliminate them from a list to me is like I have my list, but then I also like the second list that we made is more like objectively
Yeah.
what's the all times, and I
Can
agree.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
66% of my choices are on the final.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow, look at
Just
Patrick
gonna put that out there.
Well,
No, but
when you
also I
started-
feel
Does that mean my taste is superior?
No, it's just
Well,
when
I
you-
also had that song in there.
when you
so-
started with Stairway, I thought you were taking the more like
rock.
objective
Oh,
route,
Okay.
but then you went with I've Got a Woman, and I was like, oh, he's going with what he likes.
Yeah.
well, I think it seemed
So,
to,
yeah,
it
you're
seemed.
right.
I mean, I'm not gonna. You tell me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me that you try to do like a nice spread of.
I
One
did what
thing
I
that's-
like,
yeah.
but I did different genres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
That's
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
Music.
We love music.
How long did this take us?
20 minutes.
That's crazy that it took us 20 minutes. That
Sweet.
didn't feel
Thanks,
like
thanks
20
for listening to that one. Mwah.
Yeah, we love music. Matty.
Hey, it's me. Guess what, idiots? We're gonna keep talking about music because I've
Wow.
decided.
Boo.
I was thinking about other topics today, and nothing was really piquing my. Well, actually, so for next week, like I mentioned earlier, if we do get our fancy shit,
Our act together.
if we get our act together, we get our fancy stuff up and running. I've got, I think, a very fun topic that's actually a 2-parter, so it
Wow.
will take 2 weeks to complete.
Mm.
But I'd rather save that for when
Mm.
our stuff happens, hopefully next week. But anyways, so my topic for today, with regards to music, what is up with Patrick? What did you just do?
He was just he was looking at me and he was like opening his mouth as wide as he can to fit the mic in his mouth,
Oh,
and then he like felt pain in his jaw.
oh that's great.
cramped up.
You know that was a torture device? It was a thing that was shaped like a pear, and they would stick it in a person's mouth,
Mm.
and then
I
they
thought it
would
was an
unscrew
anus.
it, and it keep. Well, they would do it in your ass too, but then it like keeps slowly expanding,
That's
and they would just
evil.
break your jaw.
Humans are evil, man.
Yeah, we come up with some fun stuff.
Wow.
Anyways, on to music. So I wanted to talk to you guys today.
We gotta cut that out.
What?
The anus shit.
Nah, I think we're fine.
Yeah, we're good.
I want to ask you guys about how your music tastes have evolved
Wow.
Oh,
over time.
by great degree.
Because this is something I found interesting and fun in life, like the past few years, where when I was a kid, all I was listening to was rock and roll. And that's because that's what my dad's really into, and he would play it a lot, and that's what I listened to a lot. Patrick's taking a shirt off. It is very hot in this room. We are going to have to figure something out.
Honestly, let's just do an all nude episode.
We
This is,
should.
this is the last time I'll be able to do this.
We
Not that
should.
I've
Why?
been doing. I mean, why?
Oh, I see.
We should. Malcolm's dying. The show's going to hell in a handbasket. Anyways, So as a kid, I was just very rock and roll focused, and I still am. That's still my favorite genre. That's definitely my go-to. But I found over time. Wow, Malcolm got the whole mic in his mouth. That was actually impressive.
Let me see if I can do
Listen, we can't.
that.
Moving
My
forward, you guys know the changes coming to the show. We can't be doing this. We have to start watching our appearance.
Well, also we're disrespecting Matty.
We are.
That's okay. I'll allow
I'm
it.
sorry.
Where the fuck was I
Just
going?
restart.
Oh, yes. So, with regards to like the music tastes evolving, I think honestly, Patrick's now Patrick's losing it. The show's going to hell.
He's shaking.
Patrick's shaking back and forth like a mental patient.
What happened?
He looks like he's in a straitjacket.
The image of Malcolm with the mic in his mouth is just seared to him. Because he did it and he held it there.
Yeah.
Like he has no gag reflex. He just.
Well, he wasn't like sticking it to his freaking uvula.
I know, but it's still funny to think about.
But still, actually, no, I'm gonna drop that. Anyways, the music stuff.
What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say let's test Malcolm's gag reflex. That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say
My topic is testing gag reflexes.
yeah, my topic is let's test Malcolm's.
All right,
gag
Malcolm,
reflex.
bend down.
Get on your knees.
Oh,
Anyways,
and he goes, there it is.
but so anyways, so with the music thing, I think honestly the biggest sort of segue that led me down this path, in a lot of ways, what helped lead me down this path was my love of the Gorillaz, because they're such a like genre blending and merging band that honestly I think getting into some of their stuff a few years ago sort of began me down the path of like that is the loudest car going by. Oh my god! I think it's sort of
Should we go back to the fan?
No, I think we're fine.
Okay.
so it brought me down the path of like kind of dipping my toes into some of these other genres where it's like now, you know, I've always had like, even though rock and roll is my thing, I've always liked disco, I've always liked Sinatra and some older stuff, but there's genres that I never really paid much attention to that I would now consider myself like a fan of in some ways.
Like
hip hop, rap being the biggest one, where it's like it never did anything for me, and in a lot of ways it still doesn't from like a modern sense, whereas I'm kind of a fan of like the 90s, you know, old school.
Ice Cube, baby.
Like,
You
yeah,
hate
the
you
Ice
hate
Cube
80s
and-
music though.
That's why I said 90s.
Oh, isn't disco like 80s?
No, disco's
Disco
the
is
70s.
like 6, 7.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was 70s, 60s,
Mostly 70s.
70s.
Okay.
Which is why the 70s is the best decade of music, because it was rock and roll, and even the like pop music was still fucking banging.
Well, also like every big rock band like blew up in
Yeah,
the 70s
exactly.
or
They were
whatever.
all just going at it. But anyways, so I just, after this long-winded spiel here, I wanted to just get into it with you guys and like, you know, ask you about how have your music tastes changed and
Can I-
evolved?
I'll-
Can I go first?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Malcolm, please.
Now,
Go ahead, even though I wanted to start first.
Malcolm had a reggae phase.
I still love Bob Marley.
Oh, you still have the reggae?
I wanna love ya.
But my music taste, I think it came from my dad because he listens to a lot of rock and oldies. But in high school, kind of evolved away from that. And unfortunately, I got into dubstep. And
Really? High
I
school?
listened, yeah, in high school, I listened to a lot of dubstep, and that evolved into like modern rap.
Are you talking
Which-
about dubstep like in turn like Skrillex?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was sad. It was grade 9, so
Bangarang.
That's what I was thinking.
still finding myself. But in like at like the end of high school is when I kind of started getting out of modern rap and more into old stuff. And I think it was I have a memory ingrained in my brain. I was in my room. I don't know who else was there. I know Mark was there, and I just brought up a record player that my dad has in the garage. And I brought up a bunch of records that looked interesting. And Mark first pointed out to me the Kansas record that has Dust in the Wind on it. And I was like, I don't know that song. And I put it on,
Oh.
and I loved it. And ever since then,
Enchanting.
I've just been going on and on with records and just
What's that one
discovering new
called?
music.
It's just- I think it's just called Kansas.
Yeah.
The album's
Is it
just
the
called.
one with the dude in the boat or something
Yeah.
behind him?
I think
No,
it's
it's
just
about-
called. I think it's
No,
just.
forget
not
I think it's just
Or
self-titled.
Actually, yeah, it is.
I forget the.
think
Yeah, I
it's
don't know if that album
I
has a
think it's
name
just
or if
called
it's just
Can-
self-titled.
No, it's called
I think
Nobody's Home.
Nobody's home. That's
Oh.
what it's called. It's called Nobody's
Oh,
Home.
yes.
By the
yes,
way, Dust in the Wind, candidate for top 3 for me. And I didn't think about it back then, but when we were doing
See, that's
the
what I'm
other
saying.
topic-
Like it could.
Sure.
Like, the list changes over time. but-
Yeah.
But yeah,
I didn't know, but I didn't know that you started listening to like oldies. Kind of. I mean, I'm sure you did a little bit in high school, but I didn't know that you kind of like
That was
fully
like-
got into it.
That was like
after.
my major shift in music taste.
Me?
Like just like that one interaction made a major break for me. And like I don't really listen to much modern. I like old rap a whole lot, but I don't have many of those vinyls, which I really want to get into. But
I
yeah,
do
Yeah.
too.
my music taste really came from that.
Now I know Mark wants to go next, but I'm gonna go next. So when I was
Please.
when I was a kid, before I met any of you goons, I was like really into like the Disney Channel artists. You know how Disney Channel had like
Yeah.
the music,
Like Demi Lovato.
like Demi Lovato,
Selena Gomez.
Selena
perhaps.
Gomez.
You were in,
Yeah,
that was like your main.
that was what I listened to.
Oh.
Justin Bieber.
Honestly, me too.
What else, bro? That was basically the main thing. So then I got
Maynard.
Well,
Connor
can I
Maynard, yeah.
can I throw one out that I feel like you probably listened to when you were younger and you still
One
listen
Direction.
to?
Go on.
Well, I was gonna say like Shawn Mendes is probably something that you listened to when
He wasn't
he didn't blow up
a
that.
thing when we
Bella
were kids.
Thorne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
BBB my
Uh,
BFF.
Yeah, so that was my first sort of recollection of, I guess, what I was into.
Mm.
Right.
And then I moved to Milton,
Mm.
and I started to get into more modern stuff. And in high school, I listened to rap.
Mm. Like what kind of rap? Like what was like your
just
t-
the,
your
the
go-to?
mainstream, like Drake, and then Nav was getting pretty big when we were in high school, so I
Mm.
listened to Nav as well. But I say this often: you guys are my biggest sort of, because I never, and I still to this day, I don't really go and find new music. So you guys are my outlets for
Mm.
finding new music.
Interesting.
So when I was around Merrick and Adriano a whole lot, there was a phase where we listened to like grime,
British rap.
a whole lot.
Ugh.
And then eventually, once Malcolm made his epiphany, he passed it on to me, the old music. And
Interesting.
yeah, that's pretty much. I really like Jack Harlow though, and I
Yeah.
still listen to modern rap.
Mm.
Yeah, and Drake is obviously slaps.
I feel like it seems like it seems like a lot of us have a similar path, because I feel like I've moved to a similar direction of you guys, like where I ended up, but where I started was Imagine Dragons. That's basically all I listened to in like elementary school, like grade 7 and 8. I just listened to Radioactive on repeat,
Yeah.
and like even in high school when like Believer came out and all that stuff, less so later in high school. But Imagine Dragons were huge for me. I listened to a lot of just like, honestly, when I was younger, a lot of radio music, like what was just popular at the time, and would just like be the pop songs of the year of that year, of that summer or whatever. Yeah, but then now I feel like my taste has diversified greatly. Now I have like,
Make sure to diversify your funds, ladies and gentlemen. Go on.
sure,
Your portfolio.
do it. So yeah, like I have a lot of like oldies. I have a lot of like older hip hop. I have a lot of newer hip hop. I have a lot of like indie stuff. Indies is something that I really get into recently. I don't know. It's like it's weird. I don't even want to suggest certain indie bands, because like there are certain bands that like people wouldn't even call indie anymore because they're just huge.
Mm.
But like I think of like MGMT and shit like that, where they have like kind of unique electronic type music, or like like alternative rock and
Mhm.
alternative pop and stuff. So yeah, I feel like my taste has grown a lot. But back then it was just like whatever was popular on the radio, basically. I was just like, I wasn't really listening to music at home by myself. I didn't have like Spotify. I had like SoundCloud, but it was free and there was like ads and shit. So it was kind of hard to build a library of music because it would be ads and all this stuff. So I only actually started to develop my own music taste and have a diverse set of music once I actually got Spotify when I was older and like had a job or whatever. So like kind of similar to Malcolm, like I didn't settle into where I am now until like university started, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Mark touches on an interesting point here, which is the idea of music discovery, and specifically with Spotify and like the digital age. I think that has helped so much with music discovery that there's almost like there is no longer an excuse to not explore other avenues of music because it's so easy. You don't have to buy the vinyls. You don't have to buy the fucking cassettes. You don't have to buy the
you don't
CDs.
have to subscribe to Spotify.
And you don't have to subscribe to any of the things. You could just listen to all your freaking music on YouTube.
Dude,
you know
how many songs?
for free.
You know how many songs I got to know from just like Instagram memes or like an edit on Instagram, just like a random video, and then I like added it to my Spotify, and then I would get like Spotify would recommend songs similar to that, and then my library would grow by like 20 songs or whatever. It's like I'd listen to one song, love it, and then I'd learn about that artist or whatever, and like I would branch out that way. So even if you don't, like you said, you're not subscribed to Spotify, you're not paying for anything, you can find stuff just on social media, songs that blow up on there, and then you kind of branch off through that artist or through similar artists. It's pretty cool.
Two things with this that are like, well, one's fun to kind of think about, and then the other one is, I already forget what the other one is, but the one thing that's fun to think about too for me is like where like you discover music, or places where I have discovered music. And Mark brought up the like, Instagram and memes. And it's like there have definitely been times I've like seen on social media some song and been like, oh, that's kind of catchy.
Forgive me, but
what's
wasn't
that?
there a whole topic that we did about that? Was there like a whole topic like how do you listen to music and how do you find new
yeah,
music?
we had a topic a while ago about like how you listen to music kind of thing.
Yeah. But like I remember we talked about like the smart shuffle on Spotify and
Yes.
finding from songs.
That was like we talked about like headphones and like cars.
Ways
and
of
stuff
listening.
Yeah,
Like
that was a
music.
little more like
Sure.
ways, but we kind of got into some of this. But like, it's just interesting to think about where you discover some things, and sometimes it's as obvious as playing a record or something. Mark's also going shirtless. Let's go. We got 2 out of 4 half-naked people here. The one that kind of sticks out to me, and it's interesting because it's music tastes not necessarily evolving, but just finding new music even within genres I already like, is another fun aspect of all this, where it's, I am a rock and roll guy. And there are tons of rock and roll songs, let's say, that I've heard. For example, like, I've known about Creep for forever, but I did not listen to any Radiohead. And then over the past couple of years, it was just diving into their stuff. And I know I've talked about this before, and just becoming like a huge fan of their stuff. And it's just fun discovering that way. But the example I'm trying to drive to is Rock Band. Where it's like Rock Band and Guitar Hero as a kid, I played so much, and those games were such a gold mine of rock and roll music that I just didn't know about from like various decades and all over the place, and whether it was heavy metal or classic rock or prog rock or alt rock or whatever, like there was just so much variety in those games that I attribute a certain amount of respect and appreciation to Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and the fine people at Harmonix.
You know what's weird about that is like I feel like I was really into the like Guitar Hero specifically when I was a kid, and then for like my elementary school what.
I don't know that I can take you seriously with your shirt off.
You have your shirt
I
off.
know. I was just thinking, can you guys take me seriously with my shirt off?
I could.
Okay.
But so, and it really helps cool me down a little bit.
It does.
Because my shirt that I'm wearing is a Weekend shirt. And
Oh,
this
that one's
whole
thick.
metal patch is like a thick
That one's
paste
thick,
thing,
yeah.
and Malcolm fired it again.
Was that sneeze?
Uh,
Was that a sneeze or a...
Yep, sneeze.
sure, sneeze. But like, I played Guitar Hero a lot as like a little kid, and then like my kind of pre-adolescent phase, I stopped playing it, and I stopped listening to those sort of songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got back to now, like when at university time, I started to listen to some rock and like recognizing songs, like unlocking songs from my memory when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, this sounds familiar to me, like Barracuda, like by heart.
You know
love
what
that
else?
song, yeah.
Just Dance. But that's not like rock songs. That's like
Right.
that was like more pop,
Yeah.
modern
Sure.
Another
songs.
place is FIFA. Every single
Oh,
I love it.
FIFA.
I
love
find
FIFA music.
tons of songs. I have a whole playlist for just those songs, and
Yeah.
even on the radio, when a song sounds like it could be in FIFA, even
Yeah.
if it's not, I'm like, I love that.
I've shown Malcolm songs that are not in FIFA, and he goes like, that sounds like a FIFA song because
Mhm.
they all have a
They have
very
a
like
vibe, yeah.
upbeat kind of like dance like, but also like indie
Like,
kind of.
yeah.
Yeah,
I guess what I'm
cool.
saying is it's like licensed music and things. Like discovering stuff that way is interesting, whether it's in Rock Band or, a licensed thing like FIFA or whatever kind of thing. And I also think this has kind of always been a thing, but I guess I haven't necessarily taken it as seriously until recent times. But in terms of discovering music in non-musical places, let's say, if that makes sense. Like I'm thinking movies and video games and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like there are songs from movies, and I'm not saying like licensed songs, I'm saying like soundtracks to movies or soundtracks to video games that like I listen to music from those things.
But you're not talking about like what Spider-Verse is doing where they have like a created album for it.
Yeah, not even necessarily that. Like I'm talking about like listening to, a song from
like what Guardians does.
But I'm not even because like Guardians is like licensed stuff. Like I'm talking about the scores, the soundtracks to movies.
Oh,
Like not the
like their
licensed stuff.
themes.
Yeah, like theme songs from movies and like
okay.
classic tunes from video games. Like I will sit, especially if it's like I'm in the middle of doing something that I don't necessarily. This doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, if I'm trying to work and have music on, and if having music with lyrics on is throwing me off,
Instrumentals.
then that's when I do go to like movie and video game stuff of like, let me play this random Final Fantasy song and this Metal Gear Solid song that like don't have any words and are just like these interesting things. And I also love, I have a soft spot for like old Mario and Mega Man and like all the like 8-bit kind of chiptune songs from that era, which are such good little tunes.
I kind of feel that a bit. When I'm studying in the library at school, I can't listen to songs that have lyrics and singing and kind of go crazy.
Is that because you don't study?
No, it's because I study.
Can I just throw something out? I just keep hearing cars over and over again, like every 2 seconds. Should we just shut the window?
I don't think they're getting picked up though.
I mean, maybe it's because it's loud. My headphones are loud, but I'm hearing it every single time. And it's like loud for me. But I mean, I don't know
I
how
guess
it's gonna
we'll assess
sound.
it. Honestly, this will be a good like test bed to see.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, before
anyways,
next
go
week.
on.
So you
Cut
know,
that out.
while you're at it, Malcolm, turn that fucking fan back. Let's see what happens.
Go on, Malcolm.
But also,
Oh.
yes, go on.
Should we shut the window then?
Go
We're
on
gonna
then.
do the
Turn the
fan?
fan
I
on.
mean, I was gonna say
What
do
I-
both. Hold on,
Oh.
Malcolm.
What I was
Everybody,
gonna
let's
say-
put a pin in it for Malcolm while he.
Let's put a pin in it.
I'm holding a pin in the air for Malcolm while he turns the fan on for us like a lamb. And I guess we'll just keep it at the lowest setting if possible, Malcolm. And also, it doesn't have to
that's
be
high.
turning. That's cranked.
That's cranked.
That's
Sorry.
the lowest.
Sorry, audience. This is great podcasting.
This is
guys.
great podcasting.
Okay. That's not the lowest.
We're posting this episode now.
We are.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just wanted to make sure.
I mean, you know, we
Couldn't
want
tell for a
to.
second.
We're posting this one? Okay, cool.
We've gone ever so slightly off the rails, but there we go. Thank you, Malcolm. Anyways, as you were saying, Malcolm.
As I was saying, it's really hard to study when I'm listening to music that has lyrics and is really upbeat. But one song I really like to listen to is Time from Inception because it's just really relaxing and really gets me in the moment. And I play it on replay when I'm studying.
You're a maniac.
Interesting. You know what one I've listened to, and this would fall under the category of what Matty was referring to. I've listened to songs from the Blade Runner 2049 soundtrack, like one called I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Mesa. Mesa or Misa, I don't know. And there's one
What are you, Jar Jar?
Misa song, yeah. But and then also like the main, like the titled song of like Blade Runner 2049
Yes.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't listen to music when I study. I can't do it.
Well,
No.
I feel like
I'm not gonna be. I cannot get the information because when I listen to music, like I'm like listening to music.
Well,
It can't just be passive.
But that's what instrumental music, especially like slow, calming instrumental music can do. Where if you get in your zone and then you start playing it or whatever, if you're kind of like
if it's instrumental, I could probably see that. Yeah.
Also, if you're not in the studying zone yet and you like are listening to some music, even if it's instrumental, you might be like focusing on it. But if you're like already in the studying zone and then you start playing instrumentals, I feel like it doesn't get in the way. You know.
Okay.
I would also just like to toss out, and then we can sort of segue out of this. But one thing, I don't even know how this almost slipped my mind. But in terms of evolving music tastes, synthwave as a genre is one that, like, particularly in high school, I got very into. I think it's because, like,
Are we talking like Resonance? Are we talking like?
yeah, it's like that kind of stuff where I think it's a lot of like games and stuff I was playing at the time, like Hotline Miami or Hyper Light Drifter, or some of these games that kind of have the like synthwave soundtracks, or watching a movie like Kung Fury, like and hearing those kind of songs and like discovering some of these artists like Wave Shaper and Perturbator and some of these guys.
Have you played Far Cry Blood Dragon?
I have never played the Blood Dragon
your
DLC.
thing.
It's like so up my alley, and I've just never played it.
It's all like 80s, like cheesy action, like synth, like neon lasers.
I know
and, like,
that.
the coolest shit.
Yeah, they did like a Far Cry 3 DLC that was like the same map. They just reskinned it and then like made it look like an 80s action movie. They even
Really?
got
I've heard it's so sick.
What's his name? Michael
Mando?
Bean. I want to say Bean or Bine, however the hell you see his last name. But Kyle Reese from the original Terminator plays the main
That sounds really
character.
cool.
And the main character has like a laser eye and shit.
Yeah, and it's
So
like
cool.
the cutscenes I think are all like pixel art and like really
I'll show it to you after.
cheesy, whatever.
Yeah.
And even like I remember watching a Nikki Jakey video where he talks about like loading screens and how like the loading screens in Blood Dragon are like hilarious too, where it's like circle crouches or like grenades will kill you. So it's like all these like dumb like obvious tips kind of thing. But yeah, so just synthwave is a thing that has sprung up in terms of new genres. And I guess the last thing I will add or end with is I guess my hope for the future, and that I hope to continue to sort of discover and get into more and more music. There are some genres that still to this day I just can't do, like country music, cannot do it. Dubstep music, cannot do it.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking about throwing this one song on here. It's technically, I mean, I guess it's kind of like a country song. Take Me Home, Country Roads. I was thinking about putting that as a classic.
love
That's a
that
country song. Yeah.
It's just
I like country.
But generally, I don't like country.
Yeah, that's the thing. There are like those couple genres that, as I've, when I was younger, I would have closed myself off from them totally, and I try not to now. It's just a thing of I haven't found anything in those genres I just mentioned, for example, yet that have piqued my interest. But
I like country music, and Merrick put me on Morgan Wallen. I like Luke
is he the
Combs.
racist one?
So they say.
Which one dropped the N-bombs?
Morgan Wallen.
Oh, okay.
What?
Morgan Wallen.
Did he actually?
Yeah,
He said it like when he was drunk or something.
God bless him.
Bless his soul. And on that note. Anyways, and that was music talk. Patrick, you're next. And if we have to talk more about music, I might kill myself.
Yeah.
Okay, get that noose ready. Okay, so we're gonna become time travelers. We're gonna try that again. Do you want to reintroduce the topic?
No.
Okay, we're gonna become time travelers for this topic.
Whoa.
So you boys know the topic already. I gave you guys some time to think about it, but just for the audience, everyone has tried to think of one event or time era in time that they would like to go back and witness.
Just witness or like be a part of?
Be a part of. Like
Am I
you can
staying?
You're not staying. You're not staying, but you can interact.
Oh, I thought it was kind of like you're a transient kind of. You're a ghost and you're.
No, you can interact with the environment and like, but you're not gonna live there forever. Like you go back, you experience it for a bit. And
this changes.
This wasn't my answer, but what if I picked like a nuclear bombing or something?
you could do that.
But then you're saying you're literally there to interact, so you could die from it.
Sure.
And you go back.
You don't have to. Okay, we don't.
Well,
have to
you started by saying witness, so I would assume that you're seeing it in person, but you're not actually physically there. Obviously.
You're giving me a hard time right now.
You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Even Matty said that would change the answer.
Well, no, I just assumed we were getting transported back in time, and then that's it. I didn't know we were like coming back.
You're coming back.
Well, his topic was just like, what would you like to witness?
Okay.
Not like where would you like to live forever?
Well, because I had separated in my head of like if I'm going back to see an event, I assume that was I go see it and then I come back.
Oh,
but then
God.
for era one, I assumed
changes
it
me.
was like I'm going to this era, now I'm there.
No, they're both like you can go and you can interact.
Okay,
and
okay.
That's what I
whatever. You don't
assumed.
have to interact, but you can.
Okay,
But
I've still got
I'd like to think
answers.
that I get to come back to my regular life.
You do.
Okay, cool.
I've still
Okay.
got
The
answers.
first feminist wave.
So, I just have some honorable mentions here, and then after I give my honorable mentions, we can go around the table. I won't give my final answer right away, I guess.
Okay.
Whoa.
So the first one I have here
So
is
why don't you give honorable mentions last?
Yeah, why don't you just do your?
I want to
pick?
build up to my first.
Yeah,
my
but then
main thing.
you're gonna be talking for a while about it, and then we're just gonna do our one.
He wants to edge us.
Yeah, you want to edge us.
I'll let you edge us. I'm fine being edged.
I'm confused now. What are we thinking here?
Do
Just
whatever.
do your honorable
It's all right,
mentions.
it's all good.
I was just confused, but
Okay.
He
Don't
was just
listen
saying
to
he was
these
just
two.
saying like why would you start with honorable mentions and then we just do our singles?
But oh,
You know what I'm saying?
well, I was doing the honorable mentions to prime you guys because
Sure.
it seems like you guys maybe need some more.
No, I have more.
No,
But
so-
go ahead anyway.
Okay, so the first one I have here is the death of Jesus, and because you know I was born into a Christian family and
Resurrection.
just knowing, like just going back and like
Sure.
that's a way of like knowing for sure.
You're gonna hurt.
But
a
it's
lot of people.
ironic. Sorry,
Said you're gonna offend a lot of people with that one.
what do you mean? Why would I offend a lot of people?
No, by saying like.
to know for sure.
To know for like some. I'm with you, but I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people will be like, we already do know for sure. You know. So anyway.
Oh, I see. I mean,
But
like any of the people who
No, for
say
sure.
we do know for sure, it'd be like, yeah, like this is you, like,
Yeah.
no doubt,
With your
like
own
for
two
anybody
eyes.
with your own two eyes.
Yeah.
With your own peepers.
It's like the same. It's like if you were to ask someone like, I'm not gonna get into this.
Yeah, let's not. we don't need to get into it. But then I remembered there's a verse in John 20:29 where Jesus is talking to Thomas and he goes, so Thomas was doubting, even like back then, I guess seeing it, Thomas was doubting, like the whole resurrection, and he said to Tom. Yeah, exactly. He said to Thomas, "You only believe because," and he showed him like the injuries on his hand. He says, "You only believe because you see," and then he goes to say, "Blessed are those who have not seen yet believe." So then that one kind of just like, you know what, we're just gonna
Fair enough.
put that in the back burner. That's an
sounds
honorable
like
mention.
sounds like a cop out, but anyway.
Honestly, I feel like that would be an answer that you would choose, Matty, because
Mm.
if you were like, you know what, now we actually have answers.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, I could see Matty.
I actually didn't think of that at all, but that is a good point.
But-
That is like
Yeah.
that's like a functional one. Where
Yeah,
like,
that
It's a
for me
functional
would be
one.
like, let's just like
Let's get to
one
the bottom
way
of
or the
it.
other. Let's confirm this.
But also, again, back to what the topic it actually is. If it was that you're going to live there forever, which it's not, but if it was that, then you would never go back
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
not going back to
biblical
Bible
times.
times. Oh, no,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't.
Fuck
God.
that.
Imagine the stench.
No, yeah. But yeah, so that's that one. And then the next honorable mention I have is the construction of the pyramids.
Oh,
For two reasons.
wow.
For,
Cool.
for two
Very
reasons.
good.
What for me, like me looking into this topic, I wasn't actually aware that not only is how they were made up for debate and
Right.
not accepted among individuals, but also when they were built.
Mm.
You will look on different websites and have different time points.
feel
Now,
that-
I do have one question about this.
Yeah.
When you say you want to go back to events and things, is it in your head that you just like punch it into the time machine and it just takes you there, or
Yeah.
you need to punch in like a year?
Yeah, well, I was about to say the year that National Geographic gave, but it doesn't. Does it matter?
I just bring that because you're saying like there isn't like necessarily like a consensus on
There isn't.
when they were built, and even with the Jesus thing you mentioned, it's like, well, what year?
33.
That's just your guess. That's what
33 AD
Is
is
when
what
he-
historians believe.
I guess what I'm trying to say is in my head, to like avoid any confusion, in my head it's just I'm punching into the time machine. Take me to the pyramids being built.
Yeah,
and
that's
it
what
just
that's
puts
what
me
it
right
is.
there.
Yeah. No need to worry about like
I don't know
what,
what I was
what
fucking-
human knowledge is.
I don't know what I was fucking on about. Please
Yeah.
go on.
So National Geographic puts that around like the construction of the pyramids, and I'm talking about the pyramids of Giza, by the way.
Mhm.
Okay.
2,550 BC to 2,490.
I was
BC.
really hoping you were
But there's-
talking about the Aztec pyramids, but it's fine. I'll get past that.
But of course, there's different things. I'm not going to get into the different theories.
Yours is fun though.
I'm not going to get into the different theories of how the pyramids were made, but if you guys are interested, you can search up the following: the water shaft theory, the internal ramp theory, extraterrestrial intervention theory, or the spiral ramp theory.
See, here's
We're
why,
not going to talk about this
but
right
here's
now.
why I like going back to the pyramids.
Yeah.
Is because you get to see one way or another how it was built.
Exactly.
So if it was aliens, it's like not
Mm.
only do you get to see the pyramids built, but you also get like two for the price of one.
Exactly.
You
You know
get
what
like
I'm
and
thinking?
aliens confirmed.
You know what I'm
Yep.
thinking? I feel like because I'm like skeptical of the whole like aliens thing.
Hmm.
Like not that they exist, but the whole them related to the pyramids.
Yeah.
I feel like we just go back and there'll be like some sort of like machine they're using. Like, oh well, there you go.
Just be like
Oh,
just lifting it. You'd be
Yeah.
like, ah,
That
right.
one YouTube video was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of ramp theories, so they
Yeah.
think it's like something to do with like
Big
Oh,
ramps.
ramps.
Either
water
way,
theories.
it was almost certainly a construction mechanism that's way ahead of its time. That was way ahead of its time and incredibly
But
impressive.
even yeah, like surely it was something like that.
Even now, there's no
the thing-
manual.
But the thing is like engineers today are still
Baffled by
that's
it, yeah,
still
yeah.
baffling, and there's
well-
no acceptance of like one theory.
Yeah, but
That's
my
kinda
question
crazy.
is, with the technology they have now, how quickly could they actually build the same size pyramid?
Love
what
to
I'm
know.
wondering.
I don't know.
Could
That's a
they?
good question.
I'm sure they could.
I mean, it
'Cause
took
the
them
que- I was-
hundreds
I-
of years,
I-
thousands of years. What was it?
I don't know.
Hundreds?
For them to make it
Yeah.
based on
Hundreds.
National Geographic. Oh God, reading time backwards is so trippy.
Mm.
Less than 100 years, it looks like,
Less
Yeah.
than 100?
to make the Giza pyramids.
Yeah, because to me, I was thinking like, could people make them now? And it's like probably with advanced technology, they can recreate something like that now. I'm
Wouldn't
just,
take
like,
100
curious.
years, that's
Probably
for
not.
sure.
Okay, and one last. I don't need to give this last honorable mention. Do we want to? Because I feel like I've been hogging.
Yeah,
the
we
mic
can just
here.
we can
Do
just
we
move.
wanna-
Well, I've got a variety of answers, but I think I've got two pegged down.
Okay.
I have one picked, and I didn't pick anything else, so
Yeah.
I'll just throw out the one at some point.
Okay. So yeah,
Wanna
I'll
go?
save my honorable
Okay.
mention on my final answer.
I'll start then if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so the one that I picked, I didn't put that much thought into, but as soon as I thought of it, I was like, that'd be really cool to be there.
Okay.
And that was like being in the streets of, I mean, it doesn't have to be any particular city, but I'm just thinking like being in the streets of New York City, like post, like right when World War II ended, and everyone's like celebrating and shit.
Interesting.
Like everyone's celebrating through the streets. There's like confetti everywhere. People are driving around honking, like laughing, having a good time, dancing to music. I just feel like it would be a really positive, like cool atmosphere to be in, like really happy, and then I just go home.
I think. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know. So it'd be like a really cool like thing, a happy, positive thing in history to witness, and then I'd be like,
Mm.
all right, that was awesome.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a picture, and Matty can throw it up here. Bing.
Is it the couple kissing?
That's a popular one, but I picked this one. I just found it on Instagram. Or not Instagram, but I just Googled
Is this a picture of New York post World War II?
it. This is actually Toronto.
Toronto
Mm.
post World War II.
Look at those happy Canadians.
Wow.
I feel like that was a really cool.
Put that
cool
up,
time.
Matty.
Anyway.
And
that
you-
pick up.
You have to send that to
No.
me.
That
was mine.
I wish I went first now because
okay.
that was my answer.
Oh, really?
No
Really?
way.
That's a very oddly
New
specific
York
one.
post World War
Not,
II.
not New York. I was going to say I wanted to be in London, England
Mm.
at the end of World War II.
Wow. Wow.
Because it would have been, I just feel like it would have been like
A party.
craziest atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Like
to see-
bigger than
pubs
the
and
World
stuff?
Cup.
Just
yeah.
to see like
Sure.
Churchill get out there. Was Churchill alive at the world end of? I think he was.
Maybe.
But see Churchill get out there and we're like, we shall never surrender. We shall fight them on the beaches. Yeah.
So drunk.
The World War. You ever heard Bert Kreischer talk about like the Winston Churchill like breakfast?
No.
That he would basically wake up and eat like bacon and eggs, a cigar, and like a glass of whiskey like
awesome.
every day. That's how he woke
When
up.
did he
Great.
die?
I
At
forget-
what age?
I forget when. But
30
Kind of young.
39.
I think it was like in his 50s or something.
maybe something. Like
I don't
that.
think he
Well,
lived
if
late.
That's how
That's
you're waking
impressive.
up.
That's
every day.
impressive though. 50s is
But I feel
impressive.
like you hear stories sometimes of like this like 80-year-old man who eats bacon every day
Yeah,
and like
or,
drinks
like,
like a
smokes
madman.
like a
Yeah.
chimney.
Makes
Yeah.
live- it's just, I feel like genetics
you,
is like a big part.
you hear the 1 in 50,000 of people who do that.
Mm.
Mm.
Thanks. And so in terms of like things to go back to, World War II is definitely an interesting one to me because I'm just such a nerd for that history. So it's like I would like to go back to that era. Not necessarily like if I had to pick an event from World War II, like watching something unfold like D-Day right in front of you would be like some scary, harrowing, but
Horrific,
like
yeah.
fascinating shit. Whereas like era-wise, like I think it would just be interesting to be like even just in North America during the war kind of thing and like seeing shit all kind of turned upside down. What I think I'm going to go with for my answer, well, sorry, just the other, I guess, honorable mention I was going to toss out is in terms of like seeing events, I do like the practical thing Mark was talking about like witnessing biblical events to see what's up.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, it'd be interesting to go to like JFK's assassination
Who
and
did
just
it?
like watch and be like, and there's the second shooter or like whatever the fuck, like just to,
Kind of
like,
be in shock with everybody.
yeah, and just like pretend, like just try and like just figure some shit out. But
You know, it'd be a cool one too. Just throwing it out. Volcanic eruption.
go to
That would be
Pompeii.
really
Go to
cool.
Pompeii.
Watch
Oh,
those people
wow.
get fucking
Go to
singed.
Pompeii.
Oh,
if you're
wow,
telling me, if
okay.
you're telling me that I'm not gonna get damaged by it, I feel like it would be a
You
spectacular
can
visual.
choose. You can choose what spectacular visual.
Like not the death and
When
destruction.
did Pompeii happen?
I don't know.
Forever ago.
I'll tell you.
Roman times.
I'll tell you.
Roman.
I'll tell you what I do know. When the movie happened, it was a stinker. Am I right?
Yeah.
There are other like events and moments in history that I think would be interesting. Like, again, as a history nerd, it would be cool to go back to like some early American shit, like
Slave
in the not the slave trade, but like the Civil War and like the American Revolution and
It
some
would
of
be-
that stuff.
It would be cool.
It would be cool to go see that. Or like, even thinking a little more like international, like it'd be cool to like just see moments in time in like, feudal Japan or ancient Rome and ancient Greece and some of
Dude,
these
imagine
things.
like witnessing real life samurais.
Exactly. Like just watching some samurais
I
throw
thought
down.
about that. Yeah.
But what I think I'm going to go with as my like final answer, specifically, this is more of like an era. Like I would want to, spend like a day here just sort of tooling around. The dinosaur times.
I did not think of that for
Me
even a
neither.
split second.
I mean, most boys, but like since a
Pangea.
child being a little kid being like, oh, dinosaurs, and still just being like, dinosaurs are cool. But like the more science has kind of progressed with dinosaurs to the point where now we're like, wow, they really weren't lizards. They were more kind of like birds. And even like, I don't know if you guys have been when the last time you went, but a few months ago, Varsh and I went to the ROM.
We were supposed to go to the ROM. You, me, Malcolm.
We were.
We
Yeah.
for your birthday weekend.
Oh, that's right.
Mark was working.
Yeah, it was.
But
working.
Varsh and I went a few months ago, and we went like we paid a little extra money to go to this like T-Rex exhibit they had
Oh,
set up there, and it was like cool and interesting and fascinating, but also disappointing because I am, I'm all for science in the ways that count, but I refuse to buy into this dinosaurs with feathers bullshit. And seeing like the T-Rex at the end of the exhibit and what like the T-Rex, what science would say the T-Rex actually looks like.
Oh, that's not cool.
As opposed to like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. I'm like,
yeah, dude.
the fuck out of here. I'm like, this is fascinating, but
Wasn't the T-Rex in Jurassic Park what scientists used to think it looked like?
at the time, yes,
Yeah,
but
but
now,
now
it's
it's, like, more
yeah,
feathers
now
and
it's a
stuff.
thing where it's like more feathers and like
That's
more
it's a
bird-like.
glorified chicken.
Yeah, exactly. But so I would just like to go back to that time and just like spend a day, from like going to an era and just like spend a day just like watching, like just seeing these things in the wild and like watching them interact with each other and like watching a T-Rex eat a fucking triceratops and some shit, and like just to go back and like see this thing that like is so. I feel like with the other answers I've given, a lot of people now can't necessarily like visualize what the American Revolution was like, or even something more modern like D-Day, but it's like you can put your head in that space a hell of a lot easier than you can like dinosaurs. And I know the default would be like picturing like the Jurassic Park movies or some, Discovery Channel thing about dinosaurs.
It's not the same. Like,
But it's not the same
someone's
because
speculation.
because a lot of it is speculation. Whereas like when you watch Saving Private Ryan and you watch the D-Day scene, D-Day in the movie is like 30 minutes, and in reality it was like hours. But it's like you can watch that and be like, okay, I have like some
idea.
Even though it's like, not to downplay how fucking
Yeah.
tragic and horrible that shit actually was, but it's like you can get like the smallest inkling of what it is or what it was like, kind of thing. Where it's like dinosaurs, there's nothing. It's like the pyramid shit where it's like there's nothing.
Or the biblical stuff.
Or
You can
biblical
see
stuff. Like you can. There's no like
Reference.
point for it. Whereas to go back and just see something completely new like that, I think would be fascinating. So I'm gonna go with dinosaur times.
I'm gonna just really quick add on to my answer of the World War II thing. I want to add like seeing Japan and like hundreds.
You can only pick
hundreds
one,
of
though.
years ago.
So which one's the honorable mention? Which one's your?
The honorable mention mentions the Japan thing.
Oh,
but I just want to see like ancient Japan.
Right.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
I think an honorable mention for me would be going back to the building of the Great Wall of China.
Oh, cool.
That's a cool one. Yeah.
Although Matty's was way cooler. It was real cool.
Okay, so my last honorable mention here is going
I
to.
thought you were getting to your final.
Yeah.
I saved an honorable mention.
Oh. Carry on.
I can't tell if you're being serious or not. Mark rolled his eyes.
Mark
back into his skull.
Mark is furious. Mark's about to fly into a blinding rage.
So my last honorable mention was the Olympic Games in ancient Greece. The first ones. The first one was held in 776 BC.
Wow.
Some of the events were
Wrestling, huh?
Yeah, foot races, jumping, discus throwing, javelin, wrestling, and then the pentathlon, which was those 5 combined.
Damn.
Like all those 5.
Wow.
But there was also boxing and something like its name is called Pancratian. Forgive me, any Greek people who know it. And it's a combo of boxing, wrestling, and kicking with virtually no rules.
What was it called?
So it's
Pancratian.
I think I had that, and they had to remove my pancreas. But anyway.
just an all-out brawl.
An all-out brawl, yeah.
UFC.
And
Yeah,
there's just-
basically. I think I saw an image of that and how people kind of quote cite that as the birthplace of like mixed martial arts or whatever. Where it's like you had like all these different combat sports.
the Met website talks about how like that's like reminiscent
like they
of
were
martial
really
arts.
like they were punching, throwing each other around.
Exactly. Yeah. The only rules were no biting and no eye gouging.
Which are basically like some of the bigger rules in MMA. Except for like now they have like you can't hit people in the back of the head and shit. They probably did that back then.
Yeah, they
But
definitely.
in ancient
they
Greece,
definitely did
feel
that.
free to grab that
And
cock.
there's this, and I think Mark would be interested in hearing this. There's this one fighter. His name was Melanchthos. Again,
Okay.
if I mispronounced that, he was like really popular because he was a champion
Mm-hmm.
who was unique for his fighting technique. Okay, I'm just going to read this word for word. He managed to defeat his opponents without ever dealing a blow or ever being hit himself.
Yeah.
Because of his exceptional condition and endurance,
Yeah.
he was able to hold up his arms in defense until his opponent eventually became exhausted and submitted.
Oh,
my
interesting.
the Homer Simpson
So-
technique.
So I don't
I
think
thought-
he wrestled.
Because I was gonna say someone like, I mean, people would argue against this, but someone like Khabib when he retired, like before that, all of his wins were like, he didn't have any knockout wins. They were all
Mhm.
like stamina, out wrestling people, exhausting them, and when they got really tired, he would like choke them out,
Mhm.
or time would run out and he would like outpoint them. But he was just saying he would just block.
That's
blows
what
the whole-
the Met website.
That's
wrote.
crazy. That definitely wouldn't work now.
That's insanity. Yeah, when I
'Cause,
read
like,
that, I was like, I have to like mention.
I
this.
can't believe he was able to absorb all the. I mean, depends how long were the matches, by the way. Does it say?
Well,
I'm curious.
it says that it kept going. Like he won because the person got exhausted and submitted
So they just gave up.
because of how exhausted they were. How
Maybe-
insane is that? That
Well,
doesn't even sound right.
Maybe he was like one of the first people who had actually trained stamina and endurance
Mm.
and strength and like not strength and conditioning, but yeah, stamina.
Yeah,
Maybe that's
that's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, there was. I didn't mark this
Cool.
down, but there was this other fighter I was reading about
Hmm.
whose nickname was Fingertips because
Hmm.
his nickname was Fingertips because you'd get in the ring with him and the first thing he would do was break your fingertips.
Oh my god.
Oh.
No. How do you break a I guess.
The guy's like warming up in the back. And he's like, all right, who am I fighting? He's
Yeah,
like fingertips.
crazy.
No,
No, dude.
fingertips. And you know you can't stop it either. As soon as you
No.
start, fingertips are coming.
Okay, I know I've hogged the mic for so long for this topic, but finally my answer.
Mm.
Why do you keep doing those faces?
Fucking with you,
Oh
go.
my god. My answer for this question, the one era / event I would like to go back to witness is the Golden Age of Greece, which took place between roughly, historians say 449 to 431 BC. And there's a few reasons why. What was that?
No, I'm just locking my elbows.
Thought you were gonna
Elaborate.
There's a few reasons why I choose the golden age of Greece. It's because like a lot of the popular Greek names that we know of lived through that time, and I want to be able to interact with these people. For example, Socrates
and
Plato.
What about Philosophicles?
That's a
Call back.
Call back to the last episode. But yeah, just to be able to, because these are.
Am I stupid or is Julius Caesar someone?
That's Rome.
That's Roman.
That's Roman.
So
He
you
is
you are
someone.
stupid.
though. He is someone.
But yeah, so people like Socrates and Plato, people still teach about their ideas in class, and their ideas are still debated today in academia. So it'd just be cool to interact with those individuals directly who were like so ahead of their time and just see like the birth of things like the Socratic method and being able to talk to Socrates, or seeing Plato. He like his most famous work is The Republic. And just like talking to him about what he thinks. So The Republic is basically just all of his works, Plato, are dialogues between Socrates and some like no-name person.
Philosophicles.
Philosophically, we can go with, sure. And then in The Republic, basically the dialogue is about like how he would construct his ideal society without injustice. So it'd just be cool to interact with those individuals. Yeah, do you want to say
your
something?
point, I was going to say the one thing that my answer, like going with the final answer of the dinosaur thing, lacks is that I don't even need like time in this era, but I mean, it's kind of like a whole separate topic of like, oh, if you could talk to people from the past. That is the one thing that my answer with the dinosaurs lacks.
It's more
like,
visual.
It's more like visual and experiencing this like thing that has never been seen before. Whereas like, I think it would also, yes, like to me, it would also be fascinating. Like if you could give me an hour with some of the guys you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you could give me an hour with Lincoln, if you could give me an hour with, you know, some of these like historical figures, just to sit and like pick their brains for an hour and just
Instead
be like,
of,
hey
like-
man, like what's up? And
Yeah, my thought is like, instead of like, because I've learned about these people, but to be able to literally just talk to them, like,
Yes.
no man in the middle, like this is you.
yes, to sit across the table from them
Yeah.
and be, you know, pick their brains a little bit.
Some other honorable mentions from this area is seeing the construction of the Parthenon, which is
What's that?
it's a shrine. Mainly, it was used as a shrine for Athena, but I was also reading that it was also like at some point in time it was like a treasury for the Delian League, which was just like a confederacy of Greek states. You're giving me
What?
a blank look, like nothing is entering your skull.
I'm not really sure what that meant.
You could go back and watch
The
300.
Delian League, a confederacy of Greeks, like imagine the United States.
Okay.
It's not one to one like that, but it's just like
Well, what are you
like
talking? What structure is this?
the
specifically?
Parthenon. It's
And what does it look
main. It's
Like
like the
like a
if you search
statue?
it up.
Isn't
No,
the
it's like
one
the
with the
pillars.
pillars?
Exactly, the one
Oh,
with the
The
pillars.
like rectangle one. That's
Yeah,
got the
exactly,
pillars
like?
going
exactly.
all the
Does
way
it like
around.
represent?
It's
the
it was
difference?
mainly used as a shrine for Athena.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But I'm
so-
saying, but what does that have to do with the different like states or whatever?
Yeah, so it was also used as a treasury where they
Mm.
kept their wealth of the Delian
Oh,
League.
okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
and it's located in Athens.
You could go watch 300 happen.
Yeah, there's
Watch the
also
Spartans get their asses kicked.
yeah,
Mm.
and then seeing like
I like that.
other like like visual stuff to see is like the statue of Zeus, the statue of Athena, like the statue of Zeus, like the one
big
with
gold
him,
one.
him in the chair. Yeah,
Again,
exactly.
this is also Roman, but I feel like the Colosseum would be cool too, right?
Yeah,
The
go watch,
Colosseum,
like,
I
a
thought about that.
gladiator fight.
Yeah,
I thought
dude.
about that. Yeah,
Or
Watch
like
some guy
Ma-
get eaten by a lion.
Maximus Aurelius or whatever. It is.
yeah. And then the last person I would mention for here, there's a few things I wrote, but I'll just mention this last thing, is talking to Hippocrates, who was like considered the father of medicine.
The
had-
Hippocratic
And a
Oath.
big hypocrite as
He
well.
was a huge hypocrite. Jesus. But yeah, his stuff was like, he tried to get people to stray away from thinking disease and abnormality
Or demonic.
occurred from exactly supernatural
Yeah.
causes, and more like,
Physical.
more physical, but his whole thing was the humoral theory, which is still
The four humors or
the
whatever.
four humors, exactly.
It's like bile, blood.
Yeah, black bile,
yeah.
yellow bile, phlegm, and blood.
Yeah.
But his whole thing was, when these humors are out of balance,
Mm.
that's when
get
disease
sick, yeah.
occurs. And they would do like, the treatment is like individualized to each person kind of thing. And he would like make a plan for you
Yeah.
as like an individual to get your unique signature back in balance kind of thing, which
Yeah.
is cool. Like we kind of strayed away from that at some point with like all this
Yeah.
like pharmaceutical industry. Like we're trying to make
Yeah.
like a one shoe fits all kind of thing. But
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's still like, even though it may not be scientifically sound,
yeah.
he like set the precedent for straying away from like supernatural ideas.
Exactly,
which
he
is
set the
pretty cool.
precedent for that and the whole individualistic
Bless
thing.
him.
Bless that
What's
man.
up?
But yeah, fun. I liked hearing about what you guys thought of. I didn't like, and that's why I wanted to give you guys time to think about it, because you guys thought of stuff that I didn't even for a
Mm-mm.
second, like the whole World War II thing,
Yeah.
dinosaurs. That was cool to hear
Yeah.
about.
What does Mark Wahlberg say? Stay prayed up.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Stay paid up.
All
Stay
those
prayed up.
designing got me drip back.
Yeah, so dinosaurs were definitely birds. Okay, go on. Fuck.
So, my topic this week is a little bit more on the serious side, and I mean, I guess more like self-reflective, I'd say.
Uh-oh.
So it's a two-parter. The first part we'll try to keep pretty quick. So I'll make sure to like remind you guys of like, because the second part's really what I want to go deep into.
Mm.
But first, I want to just to go around and like everyone to list one thing that they think is like their best character trait.
Damn it, Mark.
Like, so I can start if you guys want to think for a minute.
Go ahead.
So for this one, I wasn't really sure what to say because I don't think I'm particularly good at much. I'm not even thinking about like talent.
You said character trait.
Yeah,
like
character.
personality.
Yeah, something that's like about like who you are. So I was asking my mom, and I was like, "Can you help me think of something?" And so what she said resonated with me, which is like my kind of like enthusiasm / passion for stuff. She's like, whenever you like are into something or like are talking about something that you really like you're always like, you know, obsessed with it or whatever. So to me, my favorite thing about myself, my favorite character trait about myself is like my passion for something. So that's mine, and I want to hear yours, and then I want to ask you guys follow-up questions that will be like a
Okay.
kind of a different side topic.
Just as of lately and just in life, I think one of my bigger traits is being very understanding, and I feel like I don't hold grudges against anybody, like whether something goes wrong or something's bad in life or just something fucks up. Like I feel like I let a lot of things slide really easily. Even when I don't think I should let things slide, I let it slide anyways and don't let it bother me.
That's something that I've been personally struggling with a lot recently, is like letting little things bother me and turning like, I think they say it's like you make a mountain out of a molehill or whatever, where I take a little thing that bugged me and I make it into something way bigger than it should be. So I think that's pretty cool, because that's something that I wish that I had. I wish I was able to have like a thick skin and not be sensitive about certain things, and just like something happens and I just let it slide off my back, you know. But now I'm just kind of, I've always, and I think it's because it relates to my favorite trait. It's like a double-edged sword, where I'm very like passionate and like all in emotionally on stuff, and so anytime something like stings me a little bit, it really hurts, because I was like, you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve, which is like my favorite trait, like the passion, but then also I kind of like let things get to me all the time. But yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, I guess if we're going in a circle, I'll
Yeah,
go
go for it.
next. I don't like that you phrase it as my best character trait.
Like your favorite.
So I'm just gonna say like what I think is a good character trait of
Yeah.
mine. I try to be really self-reflective. That's my thing. Like,
oh, cool. Okay.
Like I
Introspective.
exactly. Thank you. That's a better word. Introspective.
You're
And
thoughtful.
even
You like that about
I
it,
try
yeah.
my best to be thoughtful. And what am I trying to verbalize here? Like, I really try to confront myself about things that like aren't particularly good about myself, or maybe if I did something wrong, or if I'm being like intellectually inconsistent about something, like
Yeah.
and even though it may appear as though like I'm just doing this thing, there's little things that I do or say, I feel, that I don't think about like a lot. So I think that's a good trait like about myself, I think.
Cool. Matty?
I gotta be honest, I'm a little stumped here.
Mm.
You don't have, I'll tell you why, because you don't have any good traits.
And if you don't have anything in mind, I could move on to the second part, and then it connects to this. So if you were to think of something,
Well, I
after.
think there was sort of two I was toying with as like not necessarily best or favorite or anything
I would say,
like that, but just
can I say one for you?
please.
Your creativity.
Oh, why thank you.
You're not going to say that?
What?
Your creativity?
No, I think I'm kind of torn between like a sort of conviction quality and like, you know, a sticking to my guns in a sense. But I think what I'm going to go with, and I don't really know how to like, you know, sum it up in like a word, but like the idea of having, a good head on your shoulders.
What does that mean?
Like, I think,
Genuine?
sure, like genuine and, caring and just polite, not to sound too self-aggrandizing, but just like...
So not genuine. Wait, because that's not what I mean by genuine.
What do you
Are
mean?
you
by
talking-
Like,
about-
genuine means like you don't put on masks. Like, you're yourself no matter
Like-
who you're talking
Well, that
to.
would be more the conviction thing of just kind of sticking to my guns, which is like...
How about
that
this?
would be like individuality, I think, is
how
it one.
Would it summarize what you're saying to say that the thing you like about yourself the most is that you're principled? Like, you're a principled person. Like, you have your principles and you stick by them, and you would never flip-flop on your morals and your principles and stuff.
Sure. Well, that's what I was saying is like I'm kind of torn between that one. So I guess like I know this is a pain in the ass, but like I would kind of toss out that one of like the like sticking to my guns kind of thing. But the one I'm kind of driving at is just this idea of like trying to be at the very least like a good, decent person.
Okay,
like
cool.
being polite to people, being nice to people, like trying to just and like getting that feedback sometimes is always nice of people just being like, oh, you're like sweet or kind or whatever, like that.
Sure.
Thing.
Well, that connects pretty good to my second topic here, or like my second, I'd say like part B of my topic, because you mentioned something about like trying to be a certain way, and like it's something that, because for me when I'm thinking about mine, it's like I was thinking about something that it's not something that comes natural to me, but then also sometimes like I have to like work on it at the same time. It's not like perfect or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like the second part of my topic was going to be like, do you guys feel like you have to focus to be the kind of like best version of yourself to have these sort of traits? Like, do you feel like you have to kind of like, and I don't mean in like the goal sense or the improvement sense, I mean in the kind of like just being yourself every day. So for example, I feel like if I want to be, like let's say I said my best trait is being clever or some shit. I feel like I was thinking about this earlier today where I have to like focus on being a certain way to be that way. Like if I said like clever, it's like sometimes I do feel like I'm clever, but I have to like really work hard on it and be consciously thinking about it when I'm doing it. Or if I want to be like, if I want to make a funny joke, if I'm just like relaxed and not thinking, I can't be funny at all. But like if I'm like really thinking hard about a joke, then I feel like I could say a funny joke. So I was kind of thinking like, I perceive myself as being less of these positive traits when I'm kind of like relaxed and not thinking. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, I wanted to pick your brains about how you feel that you are when you're like focusing on something consciously. Like for example, you're being like consciously introspective and you're like working hard at it, or if it's something that's just like naturally you're just good at doing that, or is it a both kind of thing? Because for me, I feel like with the passion thing, like I'm just naturally gonna be passionate about certain things even if I don't think about it. But then there are other things that are like conscious stuff, like for example being clever or being funny or something. I feel like I can be those things sometimes, but most of the time when I'm just like relaxed and living life, I notice myself not being the way that I'd like to be. And then when I'm like around a group of new people, I kind of enhance those things and then I become like my optimal self or whatever. So I wanted to ask you guys about how you feel about like working at being a certain way and being even like working to be yourself, if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying, but I disagree. Not disagree. It's just I feel the opposite in the sense that. Hold on, sorry. It's just my mother was asking me a question. And I know if I don't answer, she will get mad. Yes,
Should I jump in
take her. No, it's okay. That was it. Apologies. What I was saying in the sense of like for me, it's the opposite thing where I get what you're saying about like feeling the need to work to. The like,
or not even necessarily work, but like think about it in your forebrain. Like when you're thinking, I'm being thoughtful. I'm a thoughtful person. Like when you're doing that, is it something that's completely natural and you just are that way, or is it something where you have to kind of think about it? Because for me, there are some things where I have to think while doing it, but I still think that I'm naturally like inclined to be that way.
Well, what I'm saying is to me, it's like I don't think about it, and I think that's why they are the like good personality traits of me, like my creativity. Thank you, Patrick. Or like my humor, or the sticking to my guns, or the one I mentioned about like trying to be a decent person. Those do just sort of flow out of me naturally, which I think is why they are
my favorite traits about myself. For me, it's the opposite in the sense of like, it's not that I have to focus on the good things about myself, because I think those do just sort of like emanate naturally from me. It's the opposite end of like focusing on the traits and things in myself that I don't like, and working to like balance those out and sort of tamper them down, kind of thing.
Let me throw out one more thing. To me, the way I think about it is like, even if it's something that I feel like I'm naturally good at, like I'm naturally just passionate about certain things, I feel like even with that, with everything, I feel like I have to think, like if I'm just completely relaxed and not thinking about anything, I feel like I can't even be those things that I feel like I'm naturally good at. So I was just thinking about that earlier, where I'm like, when I'm around certain people, I feel like I just kind of like, if I'm hanging out with you guys, sometimes I let go and don't try to like act a certain way. And then I just feel like I'm not the best version of myself because I'm not working. I'm not like consciously thinking. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, do you even think about that? Like when you're hanging around certain people, like, okay, I got to be on right now. I got to turn myself on and amplify all these positive traits that I'm naturally like, good at, but I feel like I want to make them even more clear. Do you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I just feel like if I'm not thinking at all, like, yes, there are certain things that I'm still naturally good at, but they're not like where I want them to be, even if I'm naturally good at them.
For me, that's kind of what I'm saying, where it's like personally no, and that might even just be part of one of my traits, like Patrick and you guys were saying about the idea of like not putting on masks and not like trying, like.
But I'm not even talking about being perceived by a certain way by other people. I'm just saying for myself, if I'm trying to be like the best version of myself, I feel like I have to turn on all those things, like amplify the things that I feel like I have a slight advantage in.
See, whereas for me, I don't think I have to turn anything on in that sense. To me, they are just always on. It's turning off the other shit. Where it's like, I never focus on, or I'm like, I mean, I'm consciously thinking about it sometimes if I'm talking with like you guys, or Patrick and I are talking with our work friends, of like thinking of something funny in the moment, but I'm not like focusing on like, I gotta be funny and I gotta be blah, blah, blah. Like it's just happening kind of thing. Whereas I am focused on in situations like, don't get angry.
Like,
don't be like, don't lose your freaking temper and get like fired up over something kind of thing. Like it's more the thing of, I think the best parts of me are always on.
Yeah.
And it's the negative parts that I have to turn off kind of thing. So it's a bit of a difference.
And I'll add one more thing, and I want to hear from Patrick and Malcolm as well. But what I was going to say is like, I feel like if I don't think about things consciously, I can't be any way. I can't be any certain way. I don't know if that makes sense. Like if I'm not consciously thinking about being entertaining or being interesting, then I feel like I'm not being entertaining or interesting. If I'm around people and I have to remind myself, like, you're in a social setting, you got to be, enthusiastic, and you got to be talkative, and you got to be engaged, and you got to be interesting, you got to be funny, whatever. And then when I think about them, I feel like I become those things. But if I don't think at all, I feel like I'm nothing. Like I feel like I'm not doing any of those things. Even the things that I'm naturally good at, even if they're existing at a base level without me thinking, I feel like me thinking actually makes them like way more apparent, if that makes sense. So to me, it's like I think about that all the time. Like, should I be thinking or should I be working harder at being the best version of myself, just for myself, But Patrick,
yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I'm having a hard time imagining what you are trying to convey. It's kind of a little abstract to me, but
it is quite abstract. Yeah.
What that question elicits in my mind is just what I mentioned with Matty, the idea of being genuine. I find myself when I'm with different groups of people, I'm not always what I perceive myself to be. Like if I'm with you guys, or if I'm with Adriano or Merrick or anyone who I've known for like my whole life, then it's like I'm myself kind of thing. But like when it's like I'm with other groups of people, I think I do, like I put on a mask almost in a sense, not like a full mask, like I'm not myself at all, but like different parts. Like, how do I say this without being abstract? Yeah.
Well, okay. Let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
If you're hanging around us, you hang out with us all the time.
Yeah.
Do you ever think to yourself, let's say you're having like a day where you're feeling kind of slow, or you're feeling like low energy or something. do you think to yourself like, because this is what I think, and I kind of want to hear if you guys relate to this at all, or maybe you don't. Like I think to myself, I had a kind of slow day, but now I want to like have fun and hang out with my friends, like gain some energy and be entertaining here, be interesting, be like engaged with your friends now. I have to think about that.
Okay.
Like I never let myself just like hang out.
Yeah.
And when I do, when I self-reflect after any given scenario, I'm like, I could have been more interesting. I could have been more engaged. I could have been more high. Like I could have been given it a more energy, and I feel like it would have been a more positive interaction for the person I'm interacting with, and it would have been more positive for myself. I would have felt better about the overall interaction. I'm not saying I feel guilty about it, but I think if I want to be like the best version of myself, like even those natural things that I feel like I'm good at, I have to like boost mentally. I have to be like, okay, I'm going to make my friends laugh today. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Like I always think about that. I don't know if you guys think about that.
I kind of relate to that a little bit, just in like certain social settings. Like I'll go home after like I'm with family or like a certain group of friends, and I'm just like, I go to myself, I'm like, why wasn't I social enough? Like, why didn't I talk with these people? Like, I went out because I wanted to socialize, because I wanted to have a good time, and I went out and I didn't do any of it.
Well, and that happens to me too sometimes, where I'm like, shit, I should have like tried harder to be present in the moment. And I think that if I let myself just idle, I kind of like become a very muted version of myself, which I don't want to be. I don't want to be like, very. I want to be like present and like put my full self into shit. I don't want to just be like half-assing, like even just like hanging out with you guys. And sometimes I do, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I just put more into being myself.
Yeah, it sounds like you and Malcolm are sort of relating, but I think I identify more with what Matty's saying.
Of just like the things that come naturally to you. You don't have to even consciously think about it.
No, I don't think I do. I've never thought about this before, to be honest. Yeah.
But I would assume that's probably more typical, that like obviously the things that naturally come to you just don't think about them.
They're called natural for a reason.
Yes, but then even then,
that's what I was going to bring up to you, but I thought maybe you'd get annoyed. But like you were saying, I have to think more to get the stuff that are natural to me to like come out. But then, are they natural to you then?
They're natural to me. They're more natural to me than anything else.
Okay.
And I feel like they're natural on a certain base level. And let's say, for example, like my enthusiasm or passion about stuff, or like my kind of like heart on my sleeve trait. I feel like oftentimes I can't control that, but sometimes I can, and oftentimes I think I could have put more into it. If that makes sense. So it's like I'm more so talking about elevating it a little bit versus like I'm not thinking about it like faking it. I'm thinking about it like remember to like be present in that emotion. Remember to be present in that kind of like action that you're doing.
Apart from that, I didn't really answer the question, but I feel like I don't really have to put in an effort into being, I guess, like sympathetic or understanding for people. Like I always find myself doing it subconsciously, no matter what. Like let's say something happens in my life that inconveniences me because of somebody else. I'm never thinking, oh, this is stupid, like this person is so stupid, they just messed up my whole day. I'm always thinking like there's probably something going on behind the scenes, and like there's no reason I should be upset about this. It's just like a small little hiccup in my life. Like it's not a big deal. I'm just gonna move on.
Yeah, honestly, I'm reflecting on, Patrick, what you're saying about like coming naturally to someone, and I feel like even if I'm not thinking consciously about stuff, I am someone who's like very sensitive about stuff, and things can get to me. But then also on the other side of that, I get very excited about things that I'm really passionate about. So I don't know, maybe those things I don't have to think about. I'm just kind of thinking more about how I want to be and how I want to turn those things up more. But in terms of that sensitivity, sometimes I wish I wasn't, but I am. So that would be something that would come naturally to me, is like sensitivity, I guess, or like that kind of stuff. Because sometimes I get bothered by shit when I don't want to be.
Well, that's what I'm saying to me, where it's like I was saying that, I don't have to think about, like with the humorous thing or being funny, for example, there are times where if I'm like out and about somewhere, sure, I'm going out of my way
planning it
to crack a joke or, whatever kind of thing. But it's generally speaking, it's not as if I'm, turning on the like funniness kind of thing. It just kind of is there, sort of thing. But it's like what you're saying about with the sensitivity thing, where it's and what I was saying about where it's the negative traits that I want to turn down, and it's like
Also,
I'm not,
to
I'm not catching,
clarify, I'm not saying like I'm not saying that my sensitivity is negative. I think it's positive and negative, but anyway.
Yeah, and it's
And I'm not
just-
saying you're saying that. I'm just saying like just to clarify.
Well, yeah, and it's just the thing of like, so it becomes less of a thing for me of, let's focus on, you know, the fact that you're funny, and let's focus on the fact that you know, stick to your guns or whatever. Let's focus on your creativity. Like, it's never that, and it is the, you know, we really don't have to get that angry about this, or, you know, we maybe didn't have to, like, you know, be a dick or something. Like, it's just it's thinking about, and for me the self-reflection is in the negative and not the positive, because I guess what I'm saying is like, I'm confident in
that's what I was
the
about to.
positive. I'm not worried about the positive, because to me it's, you know, it's not that it's perfect and it can't get better, but it's just that it's there and it is like rock solid. Whereas the negative stuff is, you know, rock solid in the negative way of like, shit, it's there, and shit, it's a problem, and it, you know, it needs to be addressed, kind of thing.
It's funny that you say that, because I was literally about to say that maybe a part of it to me, and why I feel like I have to turn certain things on, is because I'm not confident in some of those things. Like if I really want to be someone who's entertaining to hang out with, or funny or interesting, and I'm not like 100% sure of myself in those things, then I feel like I have to remind myself. It's kind of like giving myself words of encouragement, you know, almost being like, remember, you're someone who can be interesting and fun to hang out with, type thing. And then I feel like I am more that way when I think consciously about it. Whereas something like, again, sensitivity, the more I think about it, or like the kind of passion that I'm kind of like all in emotionally on stuff, I feel like that's something that I can never really control properly. And that's something that I wish I could control more. So yeah, I guess I'm agreeing, and I'm understanding more what you're saying about natural stuff. Just like, there's no like working. To me, I still feel like, like with the sensitivity thing, I can't turn that up or down. I could like try to control it more and like tune it down a little bit, like what Matty's saying about turning off bad things. But it's hard for it wouldn't feel like I wouldn't have to artificially like turn on my sensitivity. It just, I'm sensitive. I'm a sensitive person. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like when I was thinking about this topic. It did pop into my mind as an abstract thing, and it still lives that way. But I was just kind of I think about that all the time, and I've thought about that for years, of like how I am around people and how I am naturally, and just how I kind of think about myself and how I'm being. But anyway, that was my topic.
Deep personal inner thoughts.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for listening to yet another episode of Wildly Adequate. The gang is back. Like I said in the beginning, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Check out the socials. And like I also teased at the beginning, and I'm doubling down on this, might be shooting ourselves in the foot. I'll take full responsibility for it. But I would say check out the show next week and check out the socials. Keep your ears to the ground, people, because we've got some fun things to announce and to show, and we're excited for you to see them.
Maybe we could say keep your eyes open as well.
Oh my God. Little tease.
Keep your eyes open.
Or don't. Fucking, what do I care? Way to sell it. But anyways, thank you. I have been one of your hosts. We don't normally like intro ourselves or like outro
Outro?
ourselves.
No, we don't.
Yeah, that's fine.
We
I
can
guess
just like
we
dissolve
could.
it.
Yeah, we can see what's that. I don't know. I've been Matthew.
I've been P. Fahim.
Mark.
Malcolm.
And there you go. In case you forgot.
You
who
always
was who.
do that, bro.
What?
Malcolm.
You always go
No-
P. Fahim.
No energy
Like
to
he just
it.
like he just woke up.
No energy to it whatsoever.
Speaking of waking up, I
Malcolm.
want to go to bed.
Please like, comment, and share, and all those good things like we said before. And
All those
thank
good
you.
things.
And you know what? Go to bed too. It's probably late. Sleep. Get some rest.
What are you
fucking-
doing up still?
What do you go to sleep, stupid?